All members are present with the exception of Raj. He may sign in by Zoom, but I don't know. Next is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Hearing none. Next is review and vote to approve warrants for the period covering January 5th, 2023 to January 18th, 2023. Town payable warrants FY 2023-28 and FY 2023-29. Sewer warrants FY 2023 SE 17. FY 2023 SE 18, payroll warrants FY 2023-14, school warrants FY 2023-S 13, and municipal light FY 2023 number 14 and number 15.
Make a motion to approve the aforementioned warrants.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is announcement of 2022 Town Administrator's Commitment of Excellence Award.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to approach over here, if that's okay.
That's fine.
It is my distinct honor this evening to announce the 2022 Town Administrator Commitment to Excellence awardee. This is the 16th annual announcement of such an award, and I think it's wonderful that this town yearly recognizes employees that go above and beyond the call of duty. Although I've only been here for a short time, I've had the pleasure of observing many of our staff, and some of them, we know what they do and they're very outspoken. Others work quietly every day for the good of this community. And this year's awardee is somebody who is not often the loudest in the room, and they are very humble. And I think that they have an idea that they're being awarded this evening. So I'm going to ask at this point for Toby Goldstein to come up and join me at the table. Thank you, Toby. Toby, have a seat. Toby first joined the community of West Boylston in 2006, working for the Conservation Commission, and then in 2012 for the Zoning Board of Appeals. For those that may not be as familiar, these are two highly technical boards in our community, and Toby helps guide residents, business folks alike through the processes. She provides supporting documentation to her board so that they feel well supported at meetings, and she will meet with residents in the evening hours and in the weekends, and oftentimes you'll see a car in the parking lot on the weekends, and that's Toby quietly doing her work just to make sure that all of our community is served. So I do have the chair of the Conservation Commission, Bill Chase, Representative James O'Day here as well, and Carl Harmon, who nominated Toby. And Chris Olson, the chair of the ZBA, was not able to attend this evening, so I want to just read into his records his comments, and then let these other folks who have known Toby for many years speak about her great accolades. So Chris wrote, "Toby is a wonderful asset to the board. She works independently, reliably, and with the highest professionalism in what can be a very challenging role, especially in dealing with many questions and comments from petitioners and attorneys who may be frustrated or confused or anything in between. Toby is always the voice of reason and assurance, as she never fails to keep the board's attention on important upcoming deadlines and decisions. Toby also has a talent for asking the right questions and in the right way. The ZBA owes Toby a huge debt of gratitude and wholly agrees with all other town officials in this well-deserved commendation. Congrats, Toby, and keep up the good work." And I'd like to invite Representative O'Day, Bill Chase, and Carl Harmon to come up. and then we can take a photo with Toby this evening.
Okay.
Toby, you stay and be awarded.
I'll call you nominated, you talk first.
What about the thing in our hands?
Well, my relationship with Toby is through the Conservation Commission. We meet probably, except for public hearings, probably meet a half an hour, our average meeting. Why?
Can I just ask you, just so the mic will pick you up, just face
Yes,
this way
because
for us?
our meetings go so quickly because we're so well prepared going into it. Abraham Lincoln once said that if he had 8 hours to chop up a tree, he'd spend the first 6 sharpening his axe. That's what Toby does for us. She keeps us going. But I think the best reason for Toby to get this award is she does it all with such cheerful grace. She keeps us on track, she answers silly questions, she distributes pens to everyone who needs them, which is everyone. And she just does all this through kind of gentle nudges when she must be getting a little impatient. So I kind of hope that the rest of the boards in West Boylston have their own Toby. I'm just glad we do. So.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for nominating her, and I want to apologize to you for not doing this years ago. Sometimes I just don't really pay attention. I appreciate you meeting me on Sunday, because of my schedule, it's very difficult. We meet on Sunday mornings, which is almost impossible to get anyone to do that. I'm not much of a public speaker, so I'm going to relinquish my time to
No, aren't you kind?
representatives.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's really an honor for me to be here, coming from the state. I too, like the town manager, I think it's tremendous that the town has been doing for the last 16 years, recognizing the individuals who really make the town run. And what I'm hearing, and that's exactly what you do in your role. So I say thank you, and I'm sure all those in the room here this evening say thank you, and those that might be watching. It's probably a thankless job, but you do it with grace, and you do it without expectation, and here you are being nominated and receiving this award. So it really is my great honor to be able to bring greetings from the State House, and if you'll just bear with me, I'll be quick and I'll read what's here. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Toby Goldstein in recognition of your exemplary service, commitment, and dedication to the community of West Boylston, and outstanding performance on the Conservation Commission and Zoning Boards of Appeals. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all your endeavors. Signed on the 18th day of January, signed by the Speaker of the House, Ronald J. Mariano, and State Representative Jim O'Day. It's really my pleasure. Congratulations, and thank you for the great work.
And Toby, it is my distinct honor to now officially present you the 2022 Administrator's Commitment to Excellence Award. Do you want to say anything?
I want to thank everyone for their kind words, and I've enjoyed all of my time with the town, and look forward to, spending many more years with you, and we've just really all been wonderful to work with, and thank you for all that. So.
Thank you, Toby. Want to take a photo with the Selectboard and Representative O'Day and Carl? You nominated her, Bill? Might as well be in the photo. No, we'll be good. Okay, perfect. He's right in the middle, Toby.
Do you want to come in the front? Take a few. I want to say cheese. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Representative O'Day, for joining us tonight. Next item is, I'm just going to jump ahead to appointment of Jennifer Warren Diamond as ADA Coordinator effective January 18, 2023, concurrent with appointment of Town Administrator. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next item is public hearing to consider amending ambulance rates. Do you have that? You're
I
up.
do,
You're
because you
up.
gave it to me 3 minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
Public notice is hereby given in conformity with the requirements of the general bylaws of the town of West Boylston, Article 23, public hearing and notice that the Select Board will meet on Wednesday, July 18th, 2023 at 6:05 for the purpose of considering amending ambulance rates. The meeting will be held at the Select Board Meeting Room, number 210, 140 Worcester Street, West Boylston. For additional information or to review the proposed changes, please contact Fire Chief Mark Sadowski at 774-450-3521. Thank you very much. All interested parties, groups, and agencies are invited to attend.
Okay, Chief, what do you have for us?
Right, so each year, Comstar, who is our ambulance billing provider, sends out a request to review and amend the ambulance billing rate. So the ambulance is one of the few billable services that the fire department provides. Our ambulance is exceptionally busy. We operate 2 paramedic level ambulances. They respond to approximately 1,700 to 1,800 medical calls annually, and generate a gross billable revenue of about $1.4 million, of which about $625,000 of that is collectible revenue, as set by the insurance companies. Our ambulance rates haven't been increased since March of 2020, and on the recommendation of Comstar, we were reviewing them this year and seeing an obvious need to amend our current rate. We're going with the recommendation to increase West Boylston's billable ambulance rate to match the Worcester County average billable rates, as you'll see in the packet.
Am I missing 22 rates? The new rates? Oh, that's,
Yeah, this is the one we're looking at. Increase to.
oh, that's in the package, not what he gave us. So what are the, go ahead, what are the fees?
So the current rate for a BLS ambulance right now is $1,138.99, which hasn't changed since 2020. ALS 1 is $1,792. ALS 2 is $2,862. And SCT, you'll see a vacancy in that slot. That's a special care transport. So anything that we would do above and beyond the paramedic level, including emergency interfacility transfers. So if we get grabbed or called into a hospital to take somebody from an emergency room or from a floor to a higher level hospital, that would be the billing rate for that. We currently don't have one. I'm not sure why that was left vacant. And it's not something that happens frequently, but it does from time to time. So our recommendation is to increase the BLS rate to the Worcester County average of $1,449.25, ALS 1 to $2,175.90, ALS 2 to $3,236.58, and the SCT of $3,622.43, which is approximately a 23% increase overall, averaged out amongst these different rates.
Okay, does anybody have any
I
questions?
just have one question.
Sure
If you
thing.
don't know the answer to this, I understand.
I'll
If
do my
you can
best.
Get it to me. Do we know if we agree to increase these rates,
Mm-hmm.
with the contractual allowances with the insurance companies, do we know
Sure.
what the actual increase will be, the allowed billable increase?
Sure, so if you look at, in that packet that I just gave you, the first page shows what we've actually collected. Now, this goes back 120 days because the collection takes a period of time from when services are delivered. So on here, this is a 120-day look back, so it's between 9/1 of '21 and 8/31 of '22, so that it has a complete year with the predominance of collection that's going to be made already completed. And you'll see the total charges in the subtotal, so the top section is the insurance carriers, the bottom section is VA, self-paid insured and self-paid uninsured. So the bottom grand total is our year's gross. So the $1.414 million is what we billed out. The allowable is $625,000, of which the collected was $478 and change. And where you see the biggest difference is when you go up to the Medicare and Medicaid lines in the upper section and look at the difference between total charges and allowable charges, you'll see that the Medicaid, there was about a $200,000 difference that we were not allowed to collect for. And in Medicare, there was $530,000 not allowable. So these are our two biggest hits from what we bill out to what we're actually allowed to collect. And there's almost a $750,000 difference there. And that makes up most of, from our gross billing to our actual collections, the difference.
My question is, so if we, let's just focus on those two. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like Blue Cross and other insurances pay pretty close to what we bill.
They do. It's about 92%.
On the Medicare and Medicaid, if we go up to these rates,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the percentage you said the increase was.
Yeah. It's in the low 20s, about 23% on average.
If we go up a 20% increase,
Yep.
is our allowable for Medicare and Medicaid gonna roughly stay the same?
So the allowable stays about the same. What it actually works out to at the end of everything, if you take what we actually collect, it's about 23% more than that. So with this year's collections, you'll see it on the second page of 573,627. That's a little bit incomplete because that includes November and December, which don't have full collections reported yet. But that is, as of today, what we have collected. The accountant's office was kind enough to get me those numbers in a very timely fashion. And so that brings our projected total with that 23% increase to $705,561. So that would be our anticipated revenues, which is a difference of about $132,000.
So that, and that's taking into account that Medicare and Medicaid
Yes,
are not, I would assume,
yeah,
no matter what we charge them, they're gonna say you get $900 for this
correct.
trip. Okay.
That's
All right,
exactly
great,
how it
thank
is.
you.
Chris, I have one question.
Go ahead.
You might not know the answer to this, and I'm only asking because I see it on this paper here. So it says 2020 rate change form, and it has mileage under Medicare is like 762.
Correct.
And then the allotted.
Yep.
Is this an accurate number? I know recently the federal government changed the federal mileage.
So the 2020 rate change was the last one that we had updated with Comstar. So
Okay.
that's the document that we are currently working off of. So those rates, you will see.
Modifying the new one to be reflect actual
Correct,
federal.
yeah, and if you look at where we are in relation to the Worcester County average and the state average on that Comstar report, it's these numbers that are reflected. The mileage, so our mileage will be going from $7.62 up to, I'm sorry, our current mileage is at $35. The $7.62 was the Medicare allowable.
Yep.
Yep, and we would be going up to $36.32, so it's $1.32 on
Okay.
the.
All right, that was the only, I saw the 2020, so I wasn't sure if there was a comparable, if they were.
No, I was just
increasing.
including it because that was that's what we're currently working on for the document.
So the section at the bottom where it says 100% self-pay
Yes,
insured, that means their insurance company didn't cover any of the ambulance,
Correct.
they had to pay it
They
themselves. so
paid that all directly out of pocket,
And
yes.
that's the same with the uninsured. So the total charges on that row was 56,156, and you've collected 8,000 on that?
Yes,
Okay, so that's because they were uninsured and you spoke with them?
uninsured, didn't pay, yep.
So you are able to do that, speak to the people and lower the bill if there's an issue?
Yes, and there are other circumstances in which we write off some expenditures. So currently, we have about $341,000 in uncollected revenues from about 3 years of what's allowable. In certain cases, the people are either deceased and don't have an estate to pass it on to. A lot of them come from the guests at the Worcester County House of Corrections, which is one of our bigger clients. So there are other revenue, there's money out there that we've thus far been unable to collect through Comstar. Some of it can go through the collections process, and some of it just gets written off because there's no one to go after.
So, for instance, the jail, when you go up to the jail, it's not the jail that pays for this trip, it's the person you're transporting?
Correct. Which I'm going to be looking into that with the sheriff, because if they're in state custody, I would assume that they
State
would be,
would pay
obligated to provide some type of health care or health insurance, so, but I don't have the answer to that right now.
Representative O'Day's here, maybe you two can talk about that.
Right?
I think so while they're incarcerated, they may have had health care when they came in, health coverage when they came in. It stops at the door. I believe the sheriff's office picks it up while they're in there. And then as they're approaching release, they start to get their coverage again. And actually, this is a change. They try to give it to them 30 days before their discharge, so that there is at least coverage once they walk out the door. If there are services that are being required for them, they're already back on their mass health or whatever that insurance had been. But I believe.
So when they're in there,
When they're in the house, right, they are the guest of the sheriff's office, and I believe that the coverage would be from them.
so we'll have to look into that, because you're saying of our uninsured, or our insured that are not being paid, a lot of those are from the jail, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can look into that.
Definitely, we should look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none, any comments from the public? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Oh, now do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to increase the ambulance rates to those suggested by the chief.
I second.
I have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, chief, thanks
Thank you.
very much. Next item, once I find the agenda, is public hearing to consider amending the policy K-7 ADA policy grievance and procedure requested by the Disability Commission.
Notice is hereby given that the West Boylston Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023, at 6:15 PM in the Select Board Meeting Room of the Municipal Offices located at 140 Worcester Street, West Boylston, Mass., to amend Policy K-7 ADA Grievance and Procedure Policy. All interested persons, groups, and agencies are invited to attend and participate. The meeting will be held hybrid with Zoom. Join the Zoom meeting at the link provided I assume it's in the agenda also.
Correct.
Meeting ID 878-7672-3839, passcode 01583, or dial by your location at 1-646-558-8656.
Okay, you can identify yourself and tell us what you have.
I'm Kim Hopewell. I'm the co-chair of the Disabilities Commission.
And I'm Ron Menard, the Assistant Chairman of the Disability Commission.
Okay, thank you.
The American with Disabilities Act grievance procedure. This grievance procedure is established to meet the requirements of the ADA They may be used by anyone who wishes to file a complaint alleging discrimination on the basis of disability in provision with the services, activities, and programs of benefits by the town of West Boylston. Our transition plan has addressed the need to update our policy under the ADA Coordinator, Section 3.21. I downloaded and reviewed the Selectmen's ADA Policy and Grievance Procedure K-7 that was adopted on September 10th, 2012. The recommendation documentation from the Massachusetts Department of Justice regarding the ADA policies and grievance procedures was then downloaded from the Department of Justice's website, and then inserted the West Boylston information into it. The information I then presented to the Disabilities Commission for discussion, review, and vote, and the policy was unanimously approved and accepted at the September 20th, 2022 Disability Commission meeting. The revised sample of the ADA policy and grievance procedure is now before you for your consideration and vote. I do, however, have recommendations to this policy before your adoption. The recommendations was to put the town administrator's verbiage in there, and thank you for recommending the town administrator for the appointment for the ADA coordinator. The Disability Commissions, thank you tremendously for this. It's our opinion that Mrs. Warren Damon has the experience and knowledge that's necessary and required for the ADA coordinator to be successful in this position. Mrs. Warren Damon has the mindset that we think is necessary to complete the work needed in this time-consuming and lengthy transition plan. Furthermore, we're excited to commence our efforts in assisting her to bring the town in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. Since the vote of approval, we've unanimously voted to support her in this, and as such, the appointment necessary, when we voted on this policy, it had the verbiage of the building inspector in there and his name. As such, we have to delete the references of the building inspector's name and position and replace it with the town administrator's name and position. So in the center of each of the documentation, that would have to be replaced with the town administrator, and deleting all references of George Tinger with the town administrator, and also with the ADA's email address and phone number. So that would have to be taken into consideration. Also, Ron has some.
To add a little bit of weight to the need for a new grievance procedure, I'd like to read a few quick passages out of the transition plan. Even though the transition plan isn't quite complete, these sections have been completed. And they are as follows. Title II of the ADA requires a public entity to adopt an adequate grievance process. The town of West Boylston currently has an ADA policy and grievance procedure which was written in 2012 and is posted on the policies page of the town website. There is also a separate town of West Boylston equal access to parks and recreation facilities and activities grievance policy. This document is not located online and was provided during the audit. While similar, the documents have some conflicting information regarding the procedures a complainant must follow. The town should reconcile the two policy documents into a single grievance procedure applicable to all departments. The New England ADA Center offers a sample template that can be viewed, and he gives a website which showed a sample grievance procedure, which we followed to the letter in presenting the proposed grievance procedure that is before you now.
Okay.
Essentially, we wish to avoid the town incurring liability from the mishandling of a grievance.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, go ahead.
So I just want to call to the board's attention, in your packet, there's a document that it's the third in this series. It has at the top of it with track changes on it. I took your current policy, and then I took their recommendations for review. I already deleted the references to the building commissioner. In addition to deleting the recommendations, the references to the building commissioner, there is one more thing that needed to change because of that switch. Originally, in the policy proposed by the disability commissioner, if the party aggrieved was not happy with the building commissioner's response, they would appeal to the town administrator. But with the appointment of the town administrator as the ADA coordinator, I just kept your original language that appeal would come before this body. So the track changes incorporates the changes that they talked about, but that one additional point that appeals still stay with this body.
Okay, Pat, did you have something?
The only thing that I have, the only comment on this policy is, instead of your email address, the email address should be ADA coordinator @ so that we don't have to revisit this every time we have a new town administrator. And then just have that ADA coordinator @ not saying you're going anywhere, but have that ADA coordinator @ just forward to your email address.
We're having problems getting extra email addresses.
So
That's the issue with.
the issue is the cost. I smiled at Member Pedoni because the cost associated with additional email addresses is approximately $300 a year per. That's what I'm.
It's just an alias?
So we need to have a look with IT overall at seeing if we can remove some email addresses, because there are other needs for these alias type, but I will certainly explore that with IT and see if an alias is
So for
possible.
my work, I pay per email address, per month per email address. But if I want, like, one of the emails is info @ that we have. That is not a real email address. There's no inbox, it's not associated with anybody. It's simply an alias that forwards to me, and it's 1/20th of the price per month. So I don't know if that's something that we can do with, yes, to have a full inbox might be $300 a month, but to have it just as your alias it shouldn't be. But if it's $300 a month,
A year, isn't it? It's 300 a year?
A year. We don't need to, it's not that big a deal to keep it like that,
So this, where it says West Boylston Town Administrator, and you're taking out West Boylston Town Administrator and just putting ADA Coordinator? Because everywhere else you took out Town Administrator and you just put ADA Coordinator. Is that what you're gonna do in that line too?
My thought was that this position the ADA coordinator should stay with the town administrator.
So there you wanna keep Town Administrator, everywhere else in the policy, you're taking out Town Administrator, I
You're
believe.
referencing the address?
Yeah, I know, I'm just,
No, I'm asking.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the address is the only part that's keeping Town Administrator in. Do you wanna keep it like that?
Pleasure of the board.
I mean, whatever you think, whatever's cleanest. I mean, because everywhere else in the,
No, George Tinger would be, it would be like, say, within 15 days after receipt of the complaint. Instead of saying George Tinger ADA coordinator, it would be town administrator ADA coordinator or his or her designee.
or you're crossing out Town Administrator everywhere.
The policy, Kim, the policy that we're looking at, the one that says with track changes, I don't know if you have that.
I don't have that one.
So that, instead of George Tigner, ADA, it just says ADA coordinator now throughout. It
Or
does
his
not
or her
name a person.
designee.
And his, or his or her designee. But if you wanted to send snail mail a complaint, it says West Boylston Town Administrator instead of ADA coordinator, like it says it.
Slash,
The rest of
right,
the policy.
/8, yeah.
It says /and.
The and is struck, the slash was addition.
I'm sorry, I thought the whole ADA coordinator piece was struck as well.
No.
So it does say /ADA coordinator, okay. I don't have an issue
Okay,
with that.
that's fine. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
Can we,
No, no,
can you
entertain a
give us a
motion.
copy of that, please?
And you folks have anything else to add?
We're good.
Okay. I'll
I'll make a
entertain a
motion to
motion.
close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, do I hear another motion?
Make a motion to approve the changes to the ADA policy as presented in the with track changes document.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, folks.
Can we move to, undo the officer appointment?
Let me see where we are here.
Good to go.
Yeah, is everybody here for the, for the fire? They can come in.
Brian, you may notice it's time to make fun of the police force is here.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Right there, I was like, you think you could, maybe put them back outside?
Hey, Jen, how are you?
No way.
What happened?
He's in the property, he's being appointed as a.
They're on their way.
So maybe we won't move ahead.
They got delayed by this one. Oh, they're right. We're done.
So we should go in there, lose our spot. We've been ready for.
I said the right person, thank you.
How you doing? So I'm gonna walk around and bring two bags up.
Oh, wow.
Kinda.
Can I do it at the same time, board?
Okay, first item on the agenda in regards to this appointment of Ryan Matty as patrol officer effective February 1st, 2023. Chief? Good evening.
Good afternoon, how are you? So, I am asking that Ryan Matty be appointed as a police officer for a term of 3 years. He is replacing, I don't even like to say his name. You know the guy.
You forgot already.
Yeah. He's actually replacing someone that was out sick for about a year, and resigned. So, Matt Saunders, I know his name. So he will be the replacement for Matt Saunders. And then I am asking also that Tim Benson, who's been with us for about 8 years, well, if you count suspensions and stuff. So, no. So, Tim has done a great job. He's been a patrolman. He's currently assigned by me as a detective, and I requested he be appointed as a sergeant to replace Sergeant Papandrea, who is retiring as of May 1st.
Okay.
Both great guys, maybe a little better. No,
Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry, Ryan.
Good luck.
Okay. So the first item is the board have any questions in regards to the appointment of the officer, February 1st, 2023?
I'd like to have him introduce himself to the
That's
town.
fine. There you go.
So my name is Ryan Matty. I live in the north part of Worcester, in the Bernico, Greenville area. I graduated from Worcester State University in 2013. I graduated the full-time police academy in 2017. My dream has always been to be a police officer, and very passionate about what I do.
So he's been in West Boylston, your dream was always to be here, right?
Well, he thought I retired.
Everybody wants to come, it's really great.
He actually thought I retired.
He did, that was a little trick. You still want to stay? You still want us to go through? I can stop this right now. Okay, all right. It's my only question. I
Okay,
have to have fun
so
with
do I hear a motion?
And do both?
Motion to appoint Ryan Matty as patrol officer effective February 1st, 2023.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, next is, appointment of Detective Tim Benson, let's see. Accept resignation of Police Sergeant Anthony Papandrea effective May 1st, 2023. So that doesn't need a vote, that's just an announcement, correct?
Just an acknowledgement, a regretful acceptance of that
I was
retirement.
gonna say, what if we said we don't accept it? How does that work? I
I,
don't have that.
I
don't
did it
have that
first.
authority.
I'm very
Okay.
sad.
Is he retired, is the sergeant retiring, or?
He's retired.
Okay.
Yeah, he's retired.
Thank you. Next item is appoint Detective Tim Benson to position of sergeant effective April 1st, 2023.
So moved?
Second?
You guys don't want to hear from him?
Oh, I do. Do
I
you
have a-
still want to be here after that announcement?
I do.
You do?
I always wanted to work for the West Boylston Police.
You didn't think that you retired, this is the
No one
only
says the
place.
chief, they just say the West Boylston
Not
Police
for the
Department.
chief, just, no, he grew up in town.
I
He's,
grew up in
he's,
town.
he's a good guy. He lives right next, his parents live right next to my farm, and, he's done a great job. I wasn't dissing, Ryan. He's actually done a great job. Never had a complaint ever about Tim, and, I think he's gonna do a really good job.
Besides loving us, do you want to tell us anything about how excited you are to be here and staying forever?
I'm gonna be here for the rest of my career. I started in Providence. I worked there for 4 years. Been here 8 years now. So, I grew up in town. It's good to give back to the community and, police where I grew up and, my family still lives here, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's really
Okay,
good.
so do I hear a motion?
We already have everything.
I mean, do I hear it? Did we vote on it already?
Just gotta
No,
vote.
we have
Okay.
motions and seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Well,
Okay.
now,
You don't want to take yours.
I guess I shouldn't do that.
Congratulations,
Welcome.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Normally, we
We
got, shake hands, get a picture, but I would like to, I don't want to get into questions. I would like to say that I have 2 more personnel retiring next fiscal year. I also have, Tim is going to be a sergeant to replace Sergeant Papandrea. Brian is going to replace Matt Saunders, but I need to bring a person forward to replace the position of Sergeant Papandrea, because he just was appointed sergeant. I have that opening, and then I have 2 more openings coming up next year. So, a lot of changing, and don't smile, Pat, it's not me. So, just so the board knows,
We got you. You'll be back at our meeting in the near future.
yeah, not too soon, I
Yeah.
hope, but probably, April,
Okay.
we'll have, someone being,
To fill this.
asked to be appointed for the position of Sergeant Papandrea, that body.
Yeah.
And
that
then
position.
the next year, fiscal year '24, definitely have 2 people that I'm gonna have to replace.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
just so the board knows.
Did I hear you, did you
Was
want to
that
do a
in-
photo? Is that
Was
what you asked?
instead of a photo and shaking hands?
don't
I
do
think
that.
that was instead of it. Do you
Very
want to
weird,
do you guys
but
want to
whatever.
stand up front and we'll stand in back and you can take a photo? No one told me we're doing photo day, so I'm in jeans. I'm
Yeah, I
not
see.
dressed up.
Dress down Friday.
I fully
say,
blame the
but-
town administrator for all of these problems.
No, it'd be nice, because, it'd be real nice, I think,
No one asked, okay?
Stand in the back.
Thank you for staying here forever.
Congratulations on the board.
If you guys want to come up, that's fine.
All right, we'll do this and then we'll do another one.
All right.
All right, I suck it in, you let it out a little bit. I look bigger.
Everyone smile.
Okay, now we're gonna get the guys in too.
Yeah, I think you guys should too.
Yeah, all of you stand in front.
It's a big family. Let's go.
I am not scary. Do you want to stand over here? Oh, but you should all.
We're not cool enough to be West
Don't be shy.
That's right.
Okay, we're out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All the crime's gonna happen right now.
Yes.
Thank you guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't believe it.
See you, chief.
Good night. Good night.
Night.
Okay, let's see.
Want to do the resignation?
So loud, he's so loud.
The formality of the police, all the police functions.
And just to finish, appointment of resignation of Emmanuel Ortiz, Access Coordinator, effective February 28th, 2023.
We're just acknowledging, right?
Yeah, that's all, and I hate to say, he's done a great job in the short time he was here, but I know he got a position in the city of Worcester, which I wish him all the luck. We hate to see him go, though, but thank you.
We do the appointment of select board alternate to CMRPC just quick?
Discussion, I'll just get this. I don't know.
I don't think it's
No,
ready.
we'll just get this. Discussion on Prescott Street Bridge project requested by Christina Pedoni. Oh,
I
this is
feel,
exciting
I've never
stuff.
had my full name spelled out on an agenda item, so I feel kind of special about
Okay,
this.
your time's up. Next
It's
item
done.
on the agenda is
So,
a point. oh,
it's
I'm
not,
sorry.
it's not mine. I asked for an update based on our town meeting, our fall town meeting, of what was happening with the Prescott Bridge, because what we were told is, at any moment, the state could say it's closed, and if they close it, that closes the road. And I haven't heard a peep about it since town meeting. So I asked for it to be put on here to get an update on where we're at with it and what was happening, because I've heard from residents that this is important, this road has not been, get closed. Now I'm gonna be quiet. That was the extent of what I had asked.
Okay, who wants to give us an update?
Kevin Duffy.
Anyone, pick one.
Thank you very much for the board for having me to talk about Prescott Street. And I want to just congratulate Officer Maddie and Sergeant Benson on their promotions in the police department as well. But getting back to...
Just identify yourself.
Oh, sorry.
We know who you are, but
Kevin Duffy with West Boylston Public Works.
thank you.
So yes, just to add to Christina's notes for the introduction, late this summer, we became aware of the condition of the bridge at Prescott Street, and we reached out to Mass DOT. Mass DOT has a program where they do the inspections on the bridges because local municipalities just don't have that level to do a thorough investigation that's safe for the users of the bridge. So when I did reach out to them, I did find out that the bridge had been classified as structurally defunct. Unfortunately, there were some problems with the notifications to the town about that condition. So with that, it was August, and I was aware of the large financial impacts that a bridge replacement is going to have on the community. We're looking at a big price tag on that. There is a municipal small bridge program that Mass DOT undertakes for municipal-owned bridges, where they offer both Phase 1 and Phase 2 services. Phase 1 is the design and permitting and the construction documents to be prepared. The Phase 2 is for the construction of the bridge. When I found out about it in August, I talked with some bridge engineers and civil engineers just with experience in this area. And just the timeline of, all right, so how long does this take to get everything approved? And also just keeping an eye on the Municipal Small Bridge Program that opens every February 1st. So that's open February and March for new applicants, and it's a competitive application process. To be able to have gotten through the process with the extensive site investigations, design work, and then subsequent review by Mass DOT for a new bridge, and to be able to submit for this program, we really needed to have the engineering and all that preliminary work done immediately, possibly funded through ARPA monies that were available. I know there was an intern with Mr. Purcell at the time, and Jen was going to be onboarding soon. So it was determined that we were not going to be using ARPA funds. So I did bring it to town meeting. I do think it's important for it to get funded. Just moving, but with that date, we no longer could realistically meet this goal of submitting for this February or March. There was just no plausible cause to get there. So with that, and knowing that the application process was going to be forthcoming, again, in February, a lot of the investigations, you have to do borings, you have to do survey. Under most winter conditions, that's not impossible, but it's more difficult this time of year with snow cover, ice. There's just a lot of conditions that make it easier. So there are a lot of reasons to put off these investigations until the spring, as well as the ability, if this program was going to be kept for another year, there was some uncertainty with the new state leadership and administration if the program would be continued. So, but we've now confirmed with DOT the program is going to be continuing. They're looking forward to continuing to support the municipalities on kind of what's definitely a difficult task at the local level. So I think, in my memo, I provided a bit of this information. There is also it's called the Chapter 85 review, which is the Mass DOT review that's required of any bridge of this classification. This bridge is a BRI classified bridge with a span of 14 feet. And Prescott Street itself is an urban local road. So it's really this top line on the checklist of what we have to do: hydraulic design, geotech design, structural design, construction details, then design review and bid documents. That's kind of what has to be done, and that would have had to be completed for this February, March. And again, just with the town meeting approval, there really wasn't a path to get there realistically. I think right now, we're at a good point to get input from you. We can certainly move forward with getting somebody onboarded and getting this design, permitting, site investigations up and running. Spring is right around the corner. We also have the opportunity, we can submit for the design function and see if we are not able to be awarded monies towards getting this work done, and maybe using that in either another capital item or for construction phase, or there's going to be lots of expenses with this. So I certainly am interested in your input on what you think would be the appropriate next steps.
Can we submit, I know we have the money approved by town meeting, but we can submit an application for February 1st, asking, not telling, in order, what we've already approved, to do all of that design work, phase one, and not use our own money, correct?
Correct. I did discuss with them, as long as we're not under contract for that work to be done, then yes, we can submit an application. It is competitive, that there's no guarantees.
So it's a February and March timeline. When do they award?
It says 2 to 3 months is general on the grant fact sheet. So it would probably be awarded May, a notification in May or early June.
So so even if we, again, asking, not telling, even if we apply for that, we don't get it, we're not really behind the power curve, because we just use our money to hire the people and do it in the spring and summertime anyway.
And we should be time to be prepared to submit for the phase 2, the construction phase, next February, March.
Doesn't make any sense not to submit for the phase 1 stuff in February. Have the funding to do it either way, and then if we get it, great, then submit a second one in phase 2. If we don't get it, we submit phase 2 anyway. Yes?
Mr. Chairman, through you, can I ask a clarifying questioning, because that was not my understanding? If we use our funds now that we have appropriated from the fall town meeting, approximately when could we be under contract to start the design and engineering work?
I guess it would depend on,
Approximately.
to just get under contract?
Yeah.
We could, right now I have one proposal from a consultant. We could choose to get other proposals to see if there are any more cost-effective proposals available.
Relatively quickly, though, as
Yeah.
opposed to if we go the grant route, and that's what I just want this board to understand. If we go the grant route, if awarded the grant, we wouldn't be under contract until the summer.
Correct. And what happens with the grant process is if you are awarded that, Mass DOT does have 7 pre-approved on-call contractors that they're just ready to assist you immediately. So you don't have the contracting phase. It's not as long of a process because they just have folks ready to get started and they will start working with us kind of in a more expedited timeline.
But so let's just, for sake of the discussion, say we're gonna use our money, we can start, let's call it April 1st, when the ground's ready. Go through the whole process, is it our intent, we don't have funding for phase 2 yet, we don't know what phase 2 is gonna cost. I would assume it's gonna be our intent the following February to go for the grant for the construction.
Correct.
So even if we wait, I wanna make sure I'm understanding this, if we wait, we don't get the grant, okay, now we just push the work off till the summer, there should still be plenty of time to get us to the point where we're ready to submit in February. So we're delaying the start of the project, but not the end of the project, unless we're gonna go to town meeting and ask them to pay for it, which, that doesn't make sense.
Fair point.
One other question, just, either, whoever answers is fine. We went to town meeting the first time, so if we took, say you said you have one rough estimate or amount that someone provided you of what it could cost.
It's a proposal to complete the work.
So
Engineering work.
we would always have to go out. Would this be something we have to put to bid? I'm guessing we couldn't just go with that person
No.
either. We'd have to actually put this out and request.
No, Public Works is exempt from having to solicit bids. I mean, it's certainly good
That's not fair.
For the design, for design.
For the design.
Yeah, for
okay.
this, if, the construction, 100%, your, $50,000 is gonna be absolutely blown out of the water. So yes, and that's part of the construction documents that are put together is another piece that DOT reviews.
I guess my only thing to say is, yeah, delaying the start, but I'm just worried we're gonna get to a point, a year and a half out, and we're trying to book someone to do a job. And we know we've been down this road. Prices change, they're not available, they're not scheduled, and now the road gets closed. Because that's the reality. You wait another year cycle, we are, without even knowing what we're getting into, we wind up in an issue. Like, I'm just concerned there on timing.
But I'm not even gonna put a price on it, because I don't want somebody to say, Crowley said it's gonna cost this. If it's gonna be X, $50,000 plus dollars, and I think it's gonna be plus.
Oh my God, yes.
And we have the opportunity to have the state pay for the whole thing. We'd be ready, we'd have one more town meeting, we could ask for the funding. We're gonna be going to the state anyway in February.
Just as a.
Here from February.
Sorry, through the chair, just so you know, it is not that they will pay for everything.
Right.
There's a $500,000 max on the design phase.
Well, then forget it, we'll just pay for it ourselves.
So I just don't want the misconception that, if we get it, it's just paid for. I know there's a $500,000 max. I don't know if they often give the max. I don't know the breakdown on how they delegate those funds.
We're talking a $500,000 max.
For the
Whether they give the
design?
max or
That's
not.
for
We're
the
talking
design? That's for the design?
That's for the construction.
Construction, you
So
said design.
if we're talking those kind of numbers, we're going to, I would assume the board is gonna wanna put in for that grant and not go to town meeting and say, well,
We could.
we could put this,
We do it all the
it's
time.
October, give us the money. We may actually do this, give us the money, but we're gonna apply for the grant. We may have to hedge our bets, but we're certainly not gonna spend the town's taxpayers' money, it's all the taxpayers' money, but townspeople's taxpayers' money when state as a whole would fund some or all of it. I mean, that would be craziness.
Do you have something, Mike? I have two questions. First, if we go to if they do the engineering, you said it's a competitive selection of the projects they pick? Is it
Yes.
based on a lottery, or is it based on easiness, readiness, or do we not know?
Financial capabilities, I know, is one of the components. I don't remember offhand some of the other criteria points for it. And it's obviously has a cap to the program. And they often don't even know the cap number. It's kind of depending on how much from the previous year's monies was actually spent and if there's carryover. So it's not even they can say like it's going to be this much is available. It's kind of a rolling number based on how things are progressing.
Okay, and in a point to, if we're not even within a year of doing anything, should we do something preemptive, like put down steel plates or something like that, just to lessen the load on that bridge for now?
We're monitoring it very regularly.
Okay.
So it's been in okay condition since we've been looking at it. As far as no changes are being observed. I know Mass DOT was scheduled to have looked at it again in November. I've reached out to them. I just haven't gotten the inspection report. I'm hopeful that if there was any increased issue, that they would have reached out to us at this point. But I'll continue to reach out to them to just get that. It usually does take like four months plus to get the reports back.
I'm just thinking of, in the meantime, should we do anything, steel plates or?
No, I wouldn't want to try to impact anything. There's also a gas main that goes across the bridge, so just adding additional things that could puncture or do anything around that gas main. I think right now we'll just be keeping it as is.
Ina, do you have something else?
I just had one other question, and I think the grant, of course, I want grant money for everything we do. But have we looked at the criteria to see if there's something that's gonna kick us out? Because we have grants that we've put in the past. I'm thinking of the fire chief. We've put in grants, we wrote it up, we found another town that did it perfect and got funding, and they basically were like, you're not getting it this time because line 2, section 48 CR2 had not enough words in it, or so, is there something that and I don't have less than 0% understanding of what it takes to work on a bridge, replace a bridge, or do anything. But I'm just wondering, have we looked through that criteria? Do we actually meet any of that?
Yeah. Yes. The only thing that caught my eye when I looked at the criteria was the financial need, just because we had that money appropriated back in town meeting. So I did just speak with Mass DOT and their program liaison for the bridge program, and they said that there was nothing about having that money allocated that would be problematic for us submitting and being considered. And the other criteria, there was nothing additional.
Well, yeah, I look at their 7 bullets, and I think I can quickly myself knock out a lot of them that we wouldn't meet those. Like, it's not gonna cause delays for school buses, first responders, we don't meet the first 6 that are on here as an emergency unless it gets closed. But
We do meet them, because if we don't do this work,
Yeah.
all those things will happen.
We can, just for, just one clarification, as far as emergency routing or school buses, if you're at one of the few houses beyond that bridge, then the alternate route for the fire department or a school bus is going up 12 north through Sterling, up and all the way around.
I love that you said that. Someone had told me that wasn't the case and they could close that road, so it's great that we're agreeing that there are those things that are needed and it can't be closed, so that makes sense.
There's also as I stated, the gas main that goes across is gonna have to be supported in some fashion. So, it is critical, and when I just found out about this and I first reached out to Mass DOT's bridge team, they actually said that this was a great candidate for the program. They recommended that I start looking at this program.
I love it. That makes me happy.
Sir, do you have something you want to?
Yeah.
Just identify yourself.
I live in town,
grew up in West Boylston. I live on Prospect Street.
Just identify yourself.
I live at 300 Prospect Street, Tom Hennessy.
Okay, thank you.
I sell bridges, and I've given Mr. Duffy an example of a couple of options for that particular bridge. If they hire a civil engineer, which he's asking, that engineering firm will help you with the application for the Chapter 85, and that would help you get the funding that you're looking for. If you try it on your own, you might not, you could swing and miss. Now, I'm dealing with the town of Brimfield for 5 years on a pedestrian bridge. They swung and missed 3 times. They actually hired VHB Engineering, hit the home run. This year they got the funding. It took them 5 years of stumbling around, and I feel bad for them. But if you hire an engineering firm as he's proposing, they'll do all the survey, they'll do all the hydraulics on the structure, and they'll know what size structure has to be replacing on that particular culvert. You'll hit a home run. So you want to go for that application, guns blazing, and if you do it that way with an engineering firm that will help you write that application, you get better results, I think, anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Just a clarification, are you saying for phase one, because the phase one, we're gonna be looking for the money to hire the engineering firm to do the design?
Exactly, exactly.
So you're saying,
They would hire someone like myself to help them design the bridge. I would submit a drawing to them that would be either a precast or a plate or a truss bridge to cross that crossing.
that's to get the funding for the construction piece you're
No,
talking?
that is to get the approval. You're gonna have to go to the Chapter 85 with everything completely designed.
That's not what I just,
That's what the application is gonna require. And that's what he's asking for.
Right, so his,
Just wanna make sure you understand.
no,
I'm
now
here to help you.
I need clarification.
yeah.
Yeah,
so-
that's all I'm here trying to do.
So,
Just
so
clarify.
what we have appropriated the funding for at the fall town meeting is for the design and engineering and, which is required in advance of the Chapter 85 review, and that the contractor that we hire to do that design and engineering would go through Chapter 85 review with the state on our behalf, provide feedback, and then as part of that, we need final bid documents. All of those things need to be complete to submit for the Phase 2 construction grant.
That I understand, but what I'm saying is, there's also an opportunity, asking again, there's an opportunity for phase one, we say, our bridge is falling down, we need help.
Yes, Phase 1, there is an opportunity that, under Phase 1, we can either use the state to do the design and engineering work, or they have a list, correct, of pre-approved, or they allow up to $100,000 for you to go off on your own and hire a firm.
So for phase, what you're talking about is the actual, to get the construction dollars. So we have 2 bites at this apple.
I think I can clarify.
Go ahead.
So what he's saying is sometimes it helps if you have just somebody who might be a subject matter professional, which is the point of this whole program is local DPWs are gonna have somebody who can do every aspect of a bridge. But there's probably aspects of the application that perhaps a consulting firm could help us complete the application for phase 1 to have a better chance of looking like a better candidate hit the notes that they're looking for, which those notes sometimes change every year. They're kind of looking for different items, that they could maybe just give us a better chance to be selected as it is competitive. So you can have them help you on the front end to prepare the application to potentially have a better chance
Of getting selected.
of success in your grant application.
No.
Even in the phase 1 grant application?
Yes.
Yes.
It would help you just to have all your ducks in a row. So when you go to ask for this funding, you're more apt to get the funding, is what he's saying. Because this is a town of West Boylston doesn't have any bridges. This is probably the only bridge. And in the last 10 years or so, anything 10 feet or greater is considered a bridge. This is a culvert. It's 12 foot 6 wide, 11 foot 7 inches tall. It's really a culvert, but in the eyes of the state, it is a bridge. So you now have to treat it as a bridge. And the one caveat to this is that river contributes to the Wachusett Reservoir, which is gonna, I think, help you get the funding because of the severity of what this brook really does. It discharges into the Wachusett Reservoir. There is actually a DCR meter on the upstream side of this that is, it determines the hydraulics as well as the water level of that. So it's pretty sensitive, and I think you're gonna get the funding because of the sensitivity of this particular crossing.
Okay. Anything else, please? Yep.
Okay, so I'm a little confused as to whether we should engage, VHB is our engineer on the planning board for,
Yeah.
should we get them involved to get us ready for the phase one? Or not?
I just did a project, excuse me if you will, I did a project in Princeton where VHB was involved, and I worked with them to come up with a couple of sizes that make sense.
I mean, they're easy to work with, and I
Yes, they
think
are.
that they aren't.
And they know their way, they
But
know
is
their
that a
way
benefit
around.
to us to spend some of this money that we got allocated?
I mean, we can talk about this all night, but I think the DPW director, the town administrator should figure out all of the correct ways to move forward with this project, I believe.
I think he's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if we should hire someone before, I think that's all up to you folks, and then report back to us.
I think that the direction we are looking for from the board this evening is, would you like us to pursue, and I think we're hearing it loud and clear, but would you like us to hold off on using the money that had been appropriated and to pursue the phase one grant?
I don't, so I'm not, I
I'm
don't think we're
confused on that
saying,
answer.
yeah, I was gonna say, the way it was presented was not in a way that I consumed it. When you say hold off, you mean Kevin or you are gonna try to fill this grant one out to
No,
get funding
no, no, no,
first? No.
Whether or not we use a consultant to assist us with the phase one application, do you want us to pursue the phase one grant as opposed to getting a company under contract to do all of the design and engineering and chapter 85 permitting work that we have?
Yes,
That's what I thought we were
Yes.
hearing, and I just,
but the new wrinkle is,
should we get some help?
I have no issue doing that. If
Right.
this is,
If we can spend a fraction of what we thought we were gonna spend and have a very high likelihood of success, I think I'm all in.
and I don't know exactly how the article at town meeting was written, if we can use those funds for that, I would
think it
assume we
was.
could.
I believe it was
Yeah.
design and engineering, so.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
think
on
it
the
was
right.
probably loose enough, we'll verify that it's loose enough to use those funds that we could get some professional assistance with the grant application.
And that would help you, right? That's
Yeah.
a good thing for you, okay.
Yeah, and that's something that we would have followed up on between Jen and I.
You know, it's all hydraulics, it's 1.2, the bank full width. I actually walked up there today, it's running chuck full, because we've had, 6 inches of rain in the last
You
60
make
days.
it seem easy, like I could go fix it. Trust me, you don't want me to fix anything.
I walked through it, I've walked through it
Just need a
far,
shovel.
far worse, it's not an imminent, it's
Danger.
not gonna fail imminently.
Well, we'll let the state report to
You
us.
fight with the
They will-
state and
They
tell
will
them.
make that call, obviously.
So the only other thing I'd like to do is our representative and senator always asks us if there's something we need. Then let's start this today and tell them we need this.
Joe can kick this to
So-
the top of the list for you.
Yeah, so we can,
That's what
let's
you need
get
to
that, let's
work
get
that
that
for you.
process, because they're gonna ask us, and we're always running around saying, what do we need? Here it is, well before next year's budget. Let's tell them this is what we
I
need.
actually spoke to our new senator's chief of staff over the weekend and said that I would like a meeting sooner than later so that we can get our kind of earmarks requests aligned in advance, so they have them ready to go when that call comes out from Ways and
So we
Means.
can start that process. Okay. So if there's nothing else on
One,
this
sorry.
issue.
You said there's 2 bridges in town?
There's a second, right, Kevin? There is a second bridge.
Hartwell,
That is,
Hartwell Street.
Oh, going down by the Legion?
Yeah, it's been closed for a very long time, that's my
Okay.
understanding.
closed?
Okay, it's
Which
closed?
one?
You
Can't be
so-
closed, because they still
No,
go
you can go to the
across it.
Legion. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
isn't
not
there one
closed.
beyond the Legion?
That's,
I only
No,
know of the
there's
one
an
to
actual
Legion.
bridge, not a culvert.
To go
leading
over
up
the-
to Legion.
to
it goes
get
over
to
the
the-
train tracks right
I
there?
sold that back in 2002, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's,
Can, as
so
a
it's
future
not,
agenda item, could we figure out the condition of that bridge that might be closed, might not be closed?
It's definitely
That's
not
not
closed.
That bridge
There
is
might
not
be
Not
something
closed,
further
okay.
on that
What's
is junk.
closed is past the Legion, Pier Street.
Right, there's a truss bridge to get to the Legion over the railroad that's in fine working
Right.
condition.
Okay.
There may be something, that street, long before I was here, that street used to go all the way through and it
Right,
does not
that's-
anymore.
It's that far, that long?
It goes all the way down to West Boylston Street.
okay.
No, 140
All right,
comes
that's
out of
it.
140.
Anything else on this issue?
Thank you all.
Thank you for your information on this.
So, do we have a motion or anything, or we?
No, I
This
think they-
discussion.
You guys have, yeah, that
Yeah,
was,
we're gonna put it in the hands of the, appoint select board alternate to the CMRPC.
Okay, I would like to suggest, in Raj's absence, that we nominate and appoint him.
Perfect.
And I take the assistant, or whatever, the second chair.
Wait, all we're doing is alternate to CMRPC. We already have somebody in their position?
Well, okay, so here's the problem.
I mean, let me just have the
Hold on.
town administrator.
Okay.
Do we
You
have
gotta-
a
you
person
have
in
to-
that position?
So every year, CMRPC asks for these nominations. The planning board voted presently, it's Mark is one and Raj is the other, right? And-
Alternate from
And the
both
planning
selectmen.
board voted the other evening to have Raj be
The
the
primary.
designee for the planning board. So he can't serve in both. So now we need somebody to serve as the alternate. The alternate is appointed by the Board of Selectmen. It does not need to be a select board member. It could be a member of the community, but the alternate Raj can't be both. So I think that's what Mark was getting at.
Okay, so that's all. Do you want to, now, can he be the alternate that he's on the planning board?
He can be the alternate. Mark
Alternate
can
for
be
the Board of Selectmen? Is that
Yes.
what you want to do? You want to be the alternate?
Either me or Vinny. I will be, but if Vinny wants to do it, but I haven't had any impact from Vinny either.
have,
So the alternate doesn't have to be a Board of Selectmen member?
Nope.
could we put it out to residents? Not that it's not great that all of us sit on actually all of the other boards and multiple sit on the boards, but is
How
it
much-
possible to have a
Just looking
CMRPC?
They don't do
at
anything.
the-
They don't, this committee, do they have a meeting once a year? What happens?
Oh,
No, 4
CMRPC
times.
meets pretty regularly.
Correct, but,
I
so,
can't,
so,
it should be somebody that has interested in planning.
so the town administrator possibly?
Let's do that.
We're talking about an alternate, so.
I don't know.
whatever.
Do they have to be
Whatever.
from town?
They don't have to be in a board,
Or
but
do they have to be a resident?
Do I
It must
hear,
be a resident.
do I hear,
Rats.
or the town
No, it
administrator?
says the alternate must be.
Okay, do I hear a
resident.
motion? I don't,
I'll make a motion for Mark to be the alternate to the CMRPC.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none.
Do we want to ask Vinny? If he wants to
Mark, do you want to do it or not? We're voting on you.
There's nothing, the
If you
alternate
don't-
does nothing, so of course
Okay,
I'll
so
do
there
it.
you go.
So,
You'll be perfect in this position.
I know.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Poor Vinny, poor
No
Vinny.
one's opposed.
No.
Excuse me, is the DPW director?
Yeah, I'm happy to present this if you have,
Okay,
if you have
let's do it.
questions. I can present the Pride Park issue.
Okay, can I ask you folks if you want to speak, just because the mics pick up everything in here? Okay, so the next is update on Pride Park. Kevin Duffy, DPW.
Hi,
Yes.
standing in for Kevin Duffy. So Weston and, last the board had been updated, we were getting Weston and Sampson under contract
Look who's back.
to do the design and I'll give you a lead up, Kevin, and then you can answer questions. To do the design and engineering work. They are under contract. We had a kickoff meeting with them the first week in January. During that meeting, we discussed their scope of work and deliverables, which you have in your packets. We do have a anticipated deadline of April 30th, but we acknowledge that it may require an extension to May 31st. Well, I'll hold off on that and get there in a moment. So the week after the kickoff meeting was held in the office and as well as on site. So the two representatives from Weston and Sampson did go out and view the playground, so they had a sense of the project. The They have a certified playground safety inspector that's on their staff, and that person conducted a walk on January 11th of the playground. We expect the draft of that inspection report is expected sometime this week. Do you have it?
It came late this.
New news. So,
Hot off the press.
so do you want to share what the inspection report yielded?
So it came very late. I printed it right before I left the office. So I haven't had a chance to get a real deep dive into it, but I think just the one thing that I would note from the last section, the section's called Current Safety Compliance Due to Upgrades. And it notes, if any component of a playground is improved, the entire playground must then meet current safety standards. The addition and relocation of the equipment on site requires all elements, including the entire composite structure, to be brought into compliance. So obviously, a process has started. The whole playground has to be brought up into compliance. They did look at some of the structures that are in place now, and they did find some issues with them, with head clearances, pinching hazards. So there's a lot of the existing equipment, if not all of it, will have to be replaced. Is my quick download of this report.
So when we last spoke, we had talked about that large structure would likely need to come out. And then we had identified some other structures that could potentially stay. And so the CPSI individual was looking at the structures that we were proposing to keep, and it's sounding like potentially that's not going to be possible. But we'll have to look into that report further and see if they could be modified in any way so that we could keep them. The next step of the process is a 50% design meeting. On their agenda for the scope of work and deliverables, they talked about a presentation to the ADA Pride Park Update Advisory Committee or other appropriate board, commission, or committee. At that meeting, we talked with them about that we feel perhaps there'd be other boards in town that are more familiar with working in this sphere to weigh in and have a joint meeting of the Select Board, the Parks Commission, the Parks Facilities Committee, the School Committee, and the Disability Commission, and allow for public comment and input. This is where they are going to tell us the direction that they are proposing. They want to check in at the 50% goalpost to make sure that they are on the right direction for the community. And they will give us probable cause at that point. From there, they go back, they finish the design work, they check back in at 90%, and that's essentially everything is done but bid documents, and the last 10% of the work is the bid documents.
Okay.
This question. For the 50, so that big joint meeting with public comment makes me not want to ever sleep or be sick during that. But just because I remember the meetings of what are we going to build there, the $10 million park, water slides, wet park, like everything. So I do think of that, but for that 50% plan, and what are they building to? Are they building to requirements that we had? Because I'm guessing based on what you just told me, we had them look at the structures knew we had to keep. The big one was one that we knew we were getting rid of. What could we keep? That still, you guys are going to work through that, but are they going to propose something where it's a bunch of rubber mat and 4 structures at 50%? Because I'm just concerned you get that far in front of our town and that's what's left with that money. Because I think it's like, what, 150,000 or something? I don't even remember what the number was.
So they understand that this project is, that we don't have $1 million budget for this project.
Okay.
They are not going to be proposing the Taj Mahal of playgrounds that we would not be able to fund. What we had talked to them about is to come up with a design that has a stop point of the port in place so that future funding could add on additional components. They definitely replacing swing sets, absolutely there'll be swing sets in this new playground. Are there gonna be that many bays? Probably not. There's a lot of swings at that current playground. They know that there are some lower cost elements that can help fill out the playground, so they're gonna be looking to do that. But I don't think that they're gonna come back with a proposal that's within the current, appropriation.
I was like, is it 150?
Because it's not going to.
Do anything.
It's not going to do anything. I have kind of been eyeing ARPA as potential to fill this delta, but we need to see how big that delta is.
Okay, so they're gonna come forward with not the, I don't even remember, someone could correct me, Pat, I'm thinking you know. 150 we had set aside for this, 175?
That's the CPC funding, yeah. It's actually ends up being 250 because we had 100 from the state.
Okay, so say 250, they're gonna say, they might come back to us and say, this is what 500 will get you, this is what 750 will get you. And there was a second question to this. Did we ask them, because there were a lot of confusion, even on this board, of this poured in place, we were told, you can cut into it and put new structures. I was told, you could not ever cut into this because then it voids the warranty and it will never level right. So it'll be instantly shut down if it's ever inspected.
So the port in place, once you cut into it, it does void the warranty, which is why we weren't gonna put the port in place around the big structure.
Okay.
But however, you can have a firm stop line in the port in place and add future port in place on for a new section. But it will void the warranty. I think it has a 15-year warranty, Kevin, for the port in place.
I think it's 7.
Is it 7? I thought it was 15. Okay.
Well, I thought it would
But
made us not compliant
Yeah,
either, because it would never be flat the
They
same
said,
side.
I mean, and they can definitely speak to that. They said the result of when you cut into it is horrible.
And then one other thing, if we have separate structures, I imagine they're gonna put it, because the pour and play had to stay together with all the structures, so if you were in a wheelchair, you could get to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still in part of.
Yes, and with the smaller footprint of the playground, it's likely that we have more port in place than we necessarily need. So we're talking to them about reusing that port in place for some of the areas where there was originally gonna be concrete walkways.
Yeah, there is an asphalt walkway, but instead, and with a concrete curbing. But yeah, by reducing the footprint of the playground, you can actually use that port in place to just have that entire walkway, and maybe just some color to define the area. But yeah, that's some of the things that we're looking at for reducing costs and impacts. Just also, I know one other thing was for any amenities, potentially the RDP funds, which I know Jen will be talking about later on. We can buy some site furnishings from recycled products from some grant monies that we have available. So these are all things that we're currently looking at.
So right now you have like the blue picnic tables over there that match the blue of the playground. We can forego that matching quality and go with the RDP recycled product picnic tables and benches and the like.
I don't care about the tables or the benches, because the kids don't play on those.
The teachers need to sit. But I think, I said it before and I'm gonna say it again, the large playground that is currently at the site, we are not going to be anywhere near apples to apples without getting into the $1 million range.
So, I'd like to see an alternative where I've never in my life heard of a town redoing a playground and it's crappier than when you started. That's just absurd.
It can be better than we started if we want to spend over $1 million.
And I'd like to see what that looks like.
Okay.
That's part of it. I'm not saying that this board is gonna vote for it, I'm not saying the town is gonna vote for it, but I would like that alternative, to see new structures, at least to bring the playground back to what we had to begin with, but ADA compliant.
So similar.
It may come in that it's $2.5 million and there's no appetite for it, and okay. But I would like that as an alternative if they can do that.
Are we looking to get a playground that's ADA compliant or fully inclusive?
ADA compliant.
ADA compliant.
Okay. So that piece, wait,
It
someone
won't.
thinking different?
It's not,
I'm waiting to hear what the DPW director has something to say.
I believe and inclusive. There.
But not fully inclusive. It's ADA compliant, only a certain percentage of the
Oh,
playground.
yes.
Yes.
So,
It'll meet the standards for the
Yeah.
so they
percentage of
said that
inclusivity.
that piece, that main piece that's in there would not be able to be used, why?
It's,
It's rusty.
Because it's falling apart, and I can read from this report. The proposed grading will not meet all access point and fall height requirements of the equipment in multiple locations.
Okay, so it's not because it's falling apart, it's because it's not in the correct place for the fall, the distance from,
It also
Grading.
required, I think it was $30,000 of repair in order to keep it.
okay, but that's not bad, but the main thing is that when we regrade it, it's not correct. That's why we're taking it out.
Correct, both reasons. One is also just the general condition, but yes,
So it says that in the report too, that
Yes.
it's just, yeah, okay.
yep, talks about all the damage.
Okay, so we'll have to just move forward and,
I have one more question.
go ahead.
Is this both the school side and the younger kids' playground, or is it just the school side
This is
playground?
just the school side.
And then we'll just have to make sure with our current contract that giving that second option would be covered, or,
Yeah, that's, I mean, I
So
don't know
you-
that if they can do that as an alternative within the budget. I kinda started to say that, but
Okay, anything else from the board or from the DPW director or anybody? No. No.
I can't imagine, I can't believe that this board is talking about putting this playground back together at a $400,000 level where we're gonna go from a playground that's this big to a playground that's 60%, I'm just making up a number, 60% smaller. I mean, I think that's just a disservice to the town to say we don't have the money to do that and not at least go to the town and ask,
for the money.
ask the town for the money.
Well, I don't think we're saying anything yet. We're asking for
Well,
ideas.
If the
They're
answer,
giving us some ideas.
if the answer comes back that the 50% design, we can't do that, I wanna revisit it before we move forward with this contract.
Can we do that at that 50% meeting
I
day?
think we have to know, if they say, yeah, we can give you those alternatives, but that's that might be a lot of extra work where they're gonna say, no, our contract doesn't.
Should we tell them that at that 50% meeting, where they're gonna come in with the design, what we were concerned about before that, just so they come in with all the things we would want?
oh, we'll have a conversation with them this week, saying, is it possible to give, we've been talking to them about keeping the price for what had been previous conversations lower. But if the board would like to see the apples to apples roughly, price point, we'll talk to them about providing alternatives. I mean, it may be easy with their software system because they're not reconfiguring the overall layout of the playground. They're placing objects on the CAD or whatever software they use.
Yeah.
So it might be an easy.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin.
Have a nice night.
No, staying.
I'm staying back here.
Okay, we have nothing else, so we'll go to, Town Administrator's Report.
That motion to adjourn?
Town Administrator's Report.
Okay, so a lot of this report is the Kevin Duffy report, so that's why I asked him to stay. But the first item is just to update the board and the public who is not aware that the Affordable Housing Trust met on January 9th. They considered the three LIP proposals and whether or not to recommend certain of them to the Select Board. Following their vote, they did ask that I transmit a letter to the Select Board stating what their vote was, and you have that in your packet. But in short, all members of the trust present voted in the affirmative to recommend the Select Board endorse the local initiative program LIP application for the project at 235, 245 West Boylston Street by Branded Realty Group 3 LLC, otherwise known as the Jake's Cafe Project, and the project at 73 West Boylston Street by Crescent Builders LLC. That's the project between Walmart and Campfire Cannabis. And further, the project at 18 Malden Street by Just SJV Investment LLC received no votes in the affirmative. The next item is the Maya FY23 Risk Analysis and Service Plan. Faye and I actually met with our representatives from Maya today, and I included in your packet our risk analysis and service plan. Our loss ratio for the past 3-year period is at 308%. It's high, and the one item that is driving that is the loss to this building due to the burst pipe. They have mandated that we have thermographic inspections of all town buildings, and they are working with us to help us get those inspections completed. And another mandatory recommendation is to provide back injury prevention training. At the MMA annual meeting this weekend is when Maya typically announces what the upcoming rates will be, and we heard from them today that they are working diligently, not the health insurance side, although that's also announced, but they are working diligently to come up with these rates, and they don't know if they're going to be able to give us numbers at the meeting this weekend, but they are saying expect double-digit increase. So we're going to have to budget around a double-digit increase. I do know that the healthcare side, they do have those figures ready, although I don't know what ours are. The MBTA communities update. The planning board has been working with CMRPC to complete our action plan, which allows us to meet interim compliance for the MBTA community zoning, which is zoning in this town of 39 acres at a density of 15 units minimum as of right. So you have a map in your packets that show the area that the planning board has identified. It overlays with what was already a multi-story housing zone. So the next steps will be that the planning board will, the action plan will be submitted by myself this week to the state. The planning board between now and the fall town meeting will be working on language and going through their public hearing process, and we will present this at the first time at the fall town meeting of this year. If successful, we are done and we have met compliance. If not, we have another opportunity to revise the plan and bring it up at the spring 2024 town meeting.
And that would not impact any, we'd still be in the working towards the compliance phase, so we'd still be good.
We would still be good. If we don't pass it by the May town meeting, we would not be good. So hopefully hopefully the planning board comes up with a good enough plan that it'll pass in the fall, but if there's feedback and comments, that those would be incorporated for the next try. Are there any other questions on that one? Okay. Cemetery RFP, I had reported previously that Kevin Duffy had been working on putting together an RFP together with the cemetery trustees for the design and plan for the new cemetery at Paul Tivnan Drive. The RFP is nearly complete. It just needs a final review of the cemetery trustees. Kevin did a great job on preparing that, and I want to give him public kudos for that. The RFP calls for 2 alternative layouts and a plan for a phased build-out of the site, at least 3 phases. There is one question, and that's in the RFP, we need to say who's reviewing the top 3 consultants. And the question is, does the select board want to be involved in reviewing the top 3 consultants that are selected by the criteria outlined in the RFP, or do you want to leave that to the cemetery trustees? Just trying to get a sense of the board. So Chris. So the cemetery trustees would be the ones reviewing these folks, not? So the cemetery, so when the RFPs come back, we have outlined in the RFP what the qualitative criteria are for selecting the bidders. And based on that qualitative criteria, we are gonna select the top 3. So, and then it's who is reviewing the top 3.
Right now, we have the cemetery trustees, myself, and Jennifer.
Okay.
Would be
So you guys are involved in reviewing it to make sure it meets? Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's not, not that I don't love that board, but again, sending me to fix a bridge is not gonna work out in the best interest for the town. So you guys are looking at this, you understand it.
We're part of the review team. So it's just that final review of selecting of the top 3.
And this is the
Candidates.
review, the top 3 for what? What are they gonna do for us, the top 3?
The top 3 candidates will be doing the design and the design plan for the new cemetery.
Okay, so,
Just a clarification, it would be a master plan, so it'd be to come up with a final layout, and a cost estimate, and then you would have to have more, follow-up, which would be the final design and the construction documents for that to go out to bid in whatever phases it is. But it would be a master plan, layout, the future build-out of that site over time, and this is gonna be a build-out over, not years, but decades. This is gonna be a very, long process.
so I personally don't think the board needs to be involved with that part. I would like the board to be involved when they start talking about what they're gonna do there, but
Okay.
that's down the road. Yeah.
One other
Yeah.
question, I agree with that. How many people are on the?
3.
There's 3 cemetery trustees, is that a full board?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, all random questions I don't see anything or know anything about, so I agree with that.
It's Siobhan Bonson, Barbara Mard, and Ron Menard.
Okay. Husband, wife?
No, Barbara Mard and Ron Menard.
Okay.
And they were both here tonight.
They were both here tonight.
Do you need us to vote on this, or?
No, I was just trying to get your sense.
Can't
I've
vote.
got it.
Can't vote, this is the,
It's- yeah,
so
no
next,
vote.
yep.
The next is another Kevin item, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program grant. You can apply for a grant directly, or you can submit an expression of interest. And the period for submitting an expression of interest is open now. So Kevin, working with a consultant, has come up with expression of interest to ultimately apply for an FY24 action grant, which would allow the town to assess the culverts townwide and to improve stormwater. The real merit of going through the expression of interest is that you have folks from MVP who will look at your proposal, provide feedback, and make sure you're on the right course before submitting a grant application. So hopefully this will put us in good shape to actually apply for that FY24 action grant. Any questions on that one? Okay. We have a $10,200 grant through the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program. These funds are used to foster investment in local programs, including recycling equipment, organics, outreach and education, pilot programs, school recycling, toxic reductions. The town used these funds to purchase the picnic tables at the Triangle at the Stone Church, as well as trash receptacles, also used to offset our contribution to the Wachusett Recycling Center, and to purchase compost bins. And this is what Kevin was referring to when he said, for Pride Park, we can use this $10,200 to help outfit the program. He also applied for a speed feedback in school zones sign. You have a schematic. This is one of those signs that you have your radar reading of your speed, but it's also a school zone sign. This goes with the next topic, so I'm just gonna combine them, which is the intersection of Crescent Street and Goodale Street. So as this board is aware, that's a difficult intersection. Applying for this grant is, if we receive this, it's another mechanism to help slow traffic in that area. There was a recent crash, there's been many crashes, but there was a recent crash several weekends ago at this site. Kevin has installed on the stop sign there, notification saying that the traffic on Crescent, that the cross traffic does not stop. So notifying folks that are coming down Goodale that Crescent Street, it's not a four-way, it's not a three-way stop, rather. And he's also going to be installing a stop ahead sign further up on Goodale, and just looking at other ways that we can help make this intersection a little bit safer.
Chris, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, let's start with number 6, so the Sustainable Recovery Program, you were talking fast, I didn't get to it. Love all the thoughts on that, does that ever go to SWAT to see if they have anything that they wanna fund educational program-wise or anything. Not that, or,
I do know that last year, Nancy and Norma were on some webinars, and so I know at least one member is aware of these funds and was in discussions about what to use for them. I don't know in totality what further discussions were had.
okay, I'm just wondering, cause it seems like something that would be really good with that group that we're with, that is always looking to do something.
Yeah, because education is certainly a component too, so.
And then my second one for number 7 and 8, I love that you're applying for all these. It's a stop sign. He can put 1,000 signs, he can make it blink. They have to stop for it. So unless someone's gonna stand there and electrocute them, because I see the things online, I think it's great that you're doing them, I think that it's helping, but we had one over by the liquor store too. They blew the stop sign. They just drove through it. It's, you could put 12 signs there and we make them blink now in town and they still blow the stop sign. Like these are these accidents that are happening. It's not the sign and them not knowing the sign's there. It's them not following the letter of the law, but the law in general. They're just doing it.
I think in talking to Sergeant Papandrea, the intersection of Franklin and 12 is your number 1 accident.
Yep.
And your number 2 is Crescent and Goodale. So, you know, one of the residents shared videos that she had taken at this intersection, and people are just, if they're stopping, it's a rolling stop. They're not, enforcement has to be a component of,
Oh, they drive very fast on that section. I mean, they've done that for years. People, you know, the kids are playing at the baseball field, and the cars are just flying.
We were talking about putting speed bumps in, and all sorts of things, and,
I was gonna say.
I mean, this is not new. This is,
no, and you changed the lower half of Goodale already.
Changed it to a one-way, and they're still so that's where it's like, I love that you're doing these, but it's like, I'm not gonna say to the DPW director, if you put 27 more signs up, it's gonna, really make people listen.
And
Maybe a horn.
I think you did look at the speed bump, and the concern is the plows.
We're in New
Right,
England,
so,
we can't
yeah.
put speed bumps up, I couldn't imagine that icing,
We,
that would
we
be
always,
its own.
we're always told that you can't do these speed bumps, but I go through towns and on back roads, they have speed bumps. So, I mean.
On a public road?
Yeah, I've seen it many times. I don't know, Chief, of you, I mean,
So they put them around the speed humps, the more
yeah,
gradual progressive ones in the school zones in the community I used to work in.
yeah, I see speed bumps, I see those, I see them in other communities.
I think Kevin is gonna look at a traffic table, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I did mention,
Yep.
you could do a raised table at that intersection. It also has terrible drainage at that intersection. So it could give us an opportunity to do that, try to take care of the drainage issue that exists at that location. So that was just one thing that Jen and I had also discussed as well. But this was something that we were able to do quickly, short term.
Yep.
Also, just a clarification, the school zone speed feedback sign is actually for the middle school, high school.
Right.
Which currently does not have anything. So it's just to make more of the area have the speed limits.
Yeah, it ends, so yeah, if he's going for a grant for that sign, you know, all for
Yeah.
it, go for it. Go for it.
Just wanted the board to know that, like you, we're looking to fix some of these traffic problems.
Well, we've talked most about this section.
yeah.
We know there's other traffic
Yes,
problems, and
yes.
speeding problems, so. Okay, so is that all you have?
That's
Is there another
it.
page that I don't have?
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much.
Didn't we talk about some
Future-
stop sign there? Some electrified stop sign?
This thing? She already
Oh,
talked
in that
about it.
same intersection?
What's the question? You can ask the administrator.
I think at town meeting, we talked about getting a stop sign, whether it was gonna be lit up electrically from the grid or solar. Was that,
That was the crossing.
I think you're referring to the rapid flashing beacons. And
crossing.
that's where you
Those are
press the
solar.
button and it'll flash, and that's solar.
For the crosswalk.
For the crosswalk.
is that intersection?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's in that immediate area and the surrounding area.
Okay. Okay, is that another flashing sign that we're gonna put in?
No, those crossing, those, we all like those better. We
Yeah.
thought that's what those were gonna be years ago. They weren't that. Now we're moving forward to getting those now.
We have the signs, we just have to convert them to solar,
Solar.
correct?
Solar conversion kits.
Yeah, okay.
And those are on order, or?
Future agenda items or board reports.
You can go first, I'll go second.
I have
I guess you
celebration.
can go first and Christina will go second.
I was gonna
Who
figure,
cares what you have?
he always has stuff, and so do I, so I feel like I gave it.
We had a celebrations committee meeting last night. It was decided that in lieu of, and I don't have any of the details on when these are gonna be, I will have that at a future meeting. In lieu of the Easter egg hunt, we're looking to do a breakfast with the Easter Bunny, probably at the senior center, filling Easter eggs instead of hunting Easter eggs. A lot of that has to do with, it was done at Fry Park, and obviously can't do it there. Movies on the Common, we're looking to bring those back starting in May. It'll be a once a month thing. The board is exploring buying a sound system that could be used for things like movies on the Common, but also for other events. I know we were having issues with hearing the singers at the tree lighting. One of the things we discussed and we're going to be looking to do is running underground electrical wires in the center section of the Common where you have the flagpole, so that in the Christmas season we can light the trees that are there along the both sides of that Common. Got to talk to Jonathan at the light department. Jen, I may be following up with you on that, but we're hoping to have that in place for next holiday season. And then for a future agenda item before the spring, so it doesn't have to be next time, but we had discussed that we talked about traffic, taking a left turn off of Route 12 into the DQ is gonna kill somebody. There are cars lined up to take a right into the DQ. People stop, put their left blinker on, frankly cut the line,
Right.
and stop the traffic behind them. We had discussions about it. It didn't. I want to add that we need to fix that problem. I don't know what the answer is, but we need to have that on a future agenda item before the spring when the DQ becomes, lines of cars. And that's all I have.
Christina?
Sorry for trumping, I don't know if you guys have others, but that, I did mention the DQ one, because I thought there was originally a meeting, and it might be prior to you starting, that Nancy did have with the DQ folks to.
That was my.
Was that
Oh, no,
your?
so
I was
you're
like,
just gonna- all
no,
patch
but
you're gonna
I'm
disagree with?
giving, no, I'm giving her something to, like, if she was looking for it, I think it happened, there was some type of meeting a joint meeting that happened. So I have two things. One, I know all of you look at the Facebook, website, but Faye and the town administrator have helped put out a survey that SWAT has done. We are asking for residents to fill it out. We've heard some folks don't like, are wanting something different in recyclables or disposing. So this is gonna help us gather feedback from the citizens on a way to, if they understand what goes into recycling bin, because we noticed that there are some things going in that, like styrofoam shouldn't be there. So that goes out about 10 minutes. As of today, we have about 88 people that have filled it out. But I'd love for, none of the board has filled it out, so I'm gonna send it to you guys following this. And then the second one is cleanup day. We've agreed to do it on April 22nd, and our DPW director was able to secure, the trash bin, and we're gonna order shirts. My hope is that it is as successful as it was last year, because it was a pretty large turnout. And this year also marks, it's the 50th anniversary of when this actually started in town. So I had someone send me a cool little article of who started it at the school, so we're also seeing if any of them might be still in town and around. I have no future agenda items. Are you shocked? I didn't pick anyone to go next either.
You have something?
I had one SWAT question. Is there a change to the recycling program coming? Like, not on the same day, not single stream or something?
No. So there was discussion on it, but nothing's Nothing has changed based on our contract. Our contract, we extended the last contract.
Okay, I think
to
that was the
stay
issue,
in
is that the
place.
contract was ending and they didn't think they could get it again.
Yes, so we could renew it one time. So after this renewal, they came and presented to the select board, that those rates, as they said, will be very changed coming up. So it is something we should probably
How long is the
consider.
contract? Is this a couple of years?
God, I feel like it was.
Is it longer
Chris,
than my
is it
term on the
3?
board?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Oh, good, good, all right, good. Then I don't care, that's fine.
I don't have anything to offer past that, Chris.
The only thing, maybe we can reach out to our new state senator and invite her to a future meeting. Or beforehand, we can have any questions we might want to have for her. I know she's new there, so she's not gonna have all the answers, but maybe we can invite her to a future meeting so we can meet her, she can meet us.
Due to my misplanning, will you also notify me if I have to take photos or move from behind this desk?
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Did you ask
Motion
Faye?
to second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Thank you very much.